Oh, hey guys. It's Jacobi. Crazy to see you here. So, like I was just saying on the previous video, at the end of that one, I was going to talk about how, like, my actual job is going. And not to put too fine a point on it, bad. Yeah, it's bad. So I used to work out of one town, and then the company I worked for bought another company, which, great, cool. And then we bought another company, like, very quickly. And the first company, they overlapped our area, but it was in a way that complemented us, because we used to run from West Bend, Wisconsin, which is about, what, half an hour north of Milwaukee, up to Escanaba, Michigan, which is up in the UP. And we used to go, I think, as far as, like, Rhinelander, over that way. Which is, that's far. Like, for the city guys. So we would be doing pickups, and they would be hours away. Which was crazy, because, like, we already had a partnership with this first company, right? Where they would go, okay, we'll pick up these areas, and then if any of it goes into, like, your sort of areas, because their primary range was north of us. They did, like, northern Wisconsin, Michigan, that sort of thing. And we did middle Wisconsin down to St. Louis, and, like, all the little areas there in between, Illinois, Indianapolis, like that sort of thing. All Midwest. But to this smaller carrier, finally we just went, okay, we've been working as a team. This is my understanding, not the official, but okay, we've been working as a team, knocking out all of these different, let's just team up. We've got the money, we'll just buy, like, all of your stuff. And they said, all right, makes sense. So we bought them, and everything was good. Okay. Then we bought this other company, and they were very much just overlapping. Like, we would have a terminal in, not to dox myself, let's say we have a terminal in Appleton, they have a terminal in Neenah, We have a terminal in Janesville. They have one in the south side of Madison. They have one in Stevens Point, and we have one in Plover, which is like a little suburb. We have one in Wausau. They have one in Weston. Again, a suburb of Wausau. Not necessarily those, but just as an example. Okay? So, the story is, and I don't know if it's true or not, you know, sometimes they being corporate or whatever, will do a lot of, oh yeah, well, here's what happened. And, you know, there may be some truth to it, but it might not be the full truth, or they might see some frustration and go, oh yeah, those guys, well, here's what our guys need to hear to make them feel good. So they'll say something, you know, just to make us feel better. But they said this other company saw that we purchased the first company and came to us and said, hey, will you please buy our company? We are losing money hand over fist. I believe the exact term was, we're just bleeding money. Something to that effect, right? Please, please, please buy us. And our management went, oh, well, we don't really have the money ready for that, but okay. Because it would not double, but like greatly expand our network capacity, or whatever buzzwords you want to use. And, you know, it might be a bitter pill to swallow, but okay, if we can get this cheaply, great. And they came on board. So we had our terminal, which admittedly was very small, which is wild to think about, because that's the terminal I started in when I came to these guys. And it was very small, but they just moved into that terminal from an even smaller one, which may have been like, what, 8 doors, I would assume, if we went to 25 and they were impressed. But so now we're at a I'm jumping ahead. Okay, so we had our pretty small terminal, 25 doors, and we had 4 line haul drivers, the nighttime guys. And we were told, hey, you know, don't worry about it. All of your jobs are secure. We're probably going to move into their terminal because they were in a nearby town, but they had a bigger building to accommodate more people, which makes sense. Okay, yeah, we should go to the bigger building instead of bringing all of their guys to our smaller one. Okay, so, all right, how's the seniority gonna work? Because with trucking, seniority is a big deal. I don't know if you guys don't know about trucking. I mean, wild, okay, but wild because it seems weird that you're listening to this then. I'm happy you are, but to explain for those that have no clue, or have a clue, but you know what I mean. Seniority is, hey, Don has been here for 40 years, right? And he gets to pick where he wants to go. We have 5 locations that we run to every night. Don's been here the longest. He gets to pick first. Okay. That makes sense. Andy's been here the second longest. After Don's pick, Andy gets to pick from the remaining 4 locations. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. So on and so forth down the list. I was number 3 at this point. It went Don, Andy, me, Deb. Okay? And we're changing the names to protect the innocent, but yeah. I was number 3. And I asked, okay, we're gonna probably merge with them. How's the seniority gonna work? Not just me, everyone. Because, you know, that's a big deal. If Don is used to getting to go wherever he wants, and all of a sudden someone's just gonna scooch in front of him, that's gonna be a problem. Because if he's put in 40 years with the company or something, that kind of seems like a slap in the face. And no, I don't think it's actually been 40 years for him. But you know what I mean. But we were all told this new company, because we bought them and they all had to go through the application process. Like, they were told, yeah, your jobs are secure, but, you know, you're switching companies, so you have to fill out new I-9 and W-2 or W-4, all the tax stuff. You have to fill it out. You have to do all the paperwork like you were a brand new hire. Okay. Makes sense. We were told they are, for all intents and purposes, brand new employees of our company. Which is, okay, fine. What does that mean for the seniority, though? And we were all told unequivocally, because they are all new hires, their start date will be January 1st of this year. Because that's when the purchase transaction thing finalized. We bought them on the 1st of the year. Okay. So they have 10 line haul guys and I don't know how many city guys. But cool, I will still be number 3. Super cool because Don is old. I think I just learned last week he's like 75, which is way past retirement age. And he just does it for the love of the game. And Andy is of retirement age. He doesn't need to work, but he's like kind of in that gray area where if he continues to work a little longer, then he'll get more for his retirement. Okay, great. But I figured, okay, we're moving out of my hometown. Not, hometown implies like you were born there, I guess. But where I currently live, my commute to work was like 4 minutes. I didn't have to cross any major streets or anything. Like, it was close. And this new place, like, it's not real far, but it is, I have to hop on the interstate and drive for a little bit. And if anybody in California or New York or anything is listening, they're going to go, wow, you have to commute for 25, 30 minutes? Whew, must be rough. Right, but, you know, if you're used to 4 and now it's 30, like, that's a big benefit to the original location, right? It's almost like, oh, you've got your insurance, you've got your pay, and you've got your proximity to work. And proximity was a huge bonus for me. Because then I don't have to worry about, like, okay, well, I have to work 14 hours and then drive for another hour just to get home. So really I'm working 16 hours a day, drive there and drive back, so 2 hours total. And then blah, blah, blah. Like, as soon as I get back, as soon as I get done with work, basically, I'm home. I could walk home if I needed to, if I wanted to. Either one. But this new place, not an option. Which is fine. Because if I'm number 3 out of 12, something like that, cool. Basically, and these other 2 guys presumably will retire soon. Cool. I'm going to be the number 1 driver. I get to drive wherever I want. And, like, that's huge. Because, you know, we might have a night that, oh, well, we have a run to from Appleton to Green Bay, and that's it. Well, that's not nearly enough miles to live off of. And having that first choice, I can go, no thanks. I'll take the run that goes to LaSalle. Or I'll take the run that goes to Minneapolis. And that's 500, 600 miles. terrific. Definitely can live off of that. So, shame on me, right? I didn't get it in writing. The two terminals merge, and look at that. I'm second from the bottom. It goes Don, Andy, all of these new hires, me, Deb. Huh. Why? Huh. Because Deb was supposed to be on the bottom of the list. She was hired in March of this year, which is after that cutoff. So she was supposed to be down at the bottom. It sucks, but she understood. But I was expecting to be number 3 and instead was number 11. And the problem with that, which has already come up, and not just for me, but for the city guys as well, because they were all expecting to be more senior to all of these new hires. And all of a sudden, we don't have work for X number of people, both on line haul and city, or nights and P&D, or whatever terminology you want to use. So we've already gone through layoffs. Deb's gone. One of our guys on city, which this kid, let's call him KJ, right? Like, he had a work visa, but this kid busted his butt, and we would have guys come back on city and say, I want to go home, and either myself, we'll get into that side later, or a dispatcher or someone would say, hey, we've got a pickup that needs to be done, like a trailer full over in wherever it is, can you go pick it up? And they go, no, I just want to go home. Every time we asked, KJ would go, yes, I will do it. And he would go do it, and he was fast, he was hardworking, not always in a good mood, because that's how people are. They're not always in good moods, but the majority of the time, good mood. Kind of like, nobody listened to it, but the climate change episode. I talked about how, like, weather is like your mood at that time, right? And climate is like your general disposition. His general disposition was happy, excited, enthusiastic to be working. His mood, sometimes he'd be grumpy or something, but in general, he was pleased to be there. And he was fantastic. he got laid off. We had other guys that they tried to pick up his route, couldn't do it. We had to send 2 guys to go do his route. Which tells you maybe we laid off the wrong people. But doesn't matter, that's how seniority works. Okay, back to my position. I was supposed to be number 3, now we're doing layoffs. Deb's gone. All of a sudden, I'm on the bottom of the list. As a loyal employee of this company, that seems weird. But, you know, that's how it goes. Okay, so that's number 1, right? The seniority. And getting laid off and stuff. Number 2, kind of related, but and I already alluded to it a little bit. Just the mileage and the pay. So I was expecting, being number 3, I'd get all sorts of crazy miles, and you know, I can make a living and basically drive to wherever I feel like, which sounds great. Except, since I'm not number 3, and I'm number last, I'm getting the dregs and cast-offs and leftovers. So, as I mentioned, maybe one night there will be a Appleton to Green Bay, and that's it. Well, no longer hypothetical. That's been my run a couple times. Or just drive over to Toma once and then come straight back. That's not enough to live off. Toma is much too close to have that just be a there and back and done. Now, if it was a case where, like, I drive there and work the dock, unload a trailer, reload a trailer, and then come back, okay, that's a different story, different circumstance. It's a whole different conversation. That's not the case, though. It's a dark terminal, so no one's there. I go there, drop a trailer, pick up a trailer, and leave. And I'm used to doing about 400 miles a night, give or take. And I can live off that. But going to Toma, that's 200 miles. Going to Green Bay, that's less than 100. So all of a sudden, this loyal employee who was assured my job was secure and there will be enough runs for everyone and that I'd have a senior position, now I'm struggling to pay my bills. Is that a cop behind me? Which, you know, obviously not great. Number 3, and this one, I don't know, it might sound a little bit like entitled or something, which is fair. And I'm not trying to make the argument that I'm a special snowflake and deserve special treatment. But when I started at this company, like within the first week, they said, hey, our night manager is going on vacation and we need somebody to cover for her. I'd really like to get you trained so that you can cover for her when she goes on vacation. And let's call her Brenda, by the way. I'd really like for you to be able to cover for Brenda's vacations so that we don't have to scramble every time to see, okay, well, this person normally works days, but this one day they're going to work nights, this office person. And that day they'll work nights, and then the following day they'll come in and do their job again during the day, but we also need them on the day that they're working the night. See, that would be bad. So I said, yeah, absolutely. I will happily work like in the office. I like doing all the computer stuff. I think I got pretty good at it. Not perfect, but you know, I got the job done. So within the first week of me starting, I was training and then doing all of the dispatching, all of the, okay, load this freight into this trailer and this freight goes into that trailer and we're going to send this driver on this route and we're going to, you know, all of the manager office nighttime things. Emailing all the different places that we're going, letting them know, hey, here's what we have going on. Here's what we're going to do. Fixing problems. Okay. So, before we're going to combine our terminals, Brenda tells me, hey, I'm going to be going on vacation for a week in July. I said, okay, that's fine. I got this. Later, it came out, hey, that's, you know, the week after we do our combining. I said, that's fine. It's just more people, but the same job. So, okay, not a problem. And it wasn't until the Thursday before she went on vacation that our new boss goes, wait, you're off next week? To Brenda. She goes, yeah, it's been on the calendar for like 6 months. So he threw his hands up and, you know, didn't like the situation. But I said, don't worry, I got this. Our former boss, who still works there, he just does the morning shift now instead of the whole thing. He said, don't worry, Jacobi's got this. Brenda said, don't worry, Jacobi's got this. Our new guy, new terminal manager, said, Okay. Well, I think we need to have somebody from corporate come out so that we have somebody to cover Brenda's vacation. And we all went, huh? Because, like, that's... I can do it. I like doing it. I'm proud of the fact that I can do it. And we don't need to have somebody else come in to do this. I'm perfectly capable. Well, terminal manager made the decision. We're going to have somebody leave their family for a week, spend the week up with us, so that he could do the job that I was gonna do. And, like, it's fine, because, like, that's his call, but it just seems, A, disrespectful to that guy. It's not necessary for him to be here, but still you're insisting on it. But then I felt disrespected because basically I took it as I don't trust you and I don't think you can do it. So those were the three reasons that, and like other things of that nature, right? With the mileage thing, they would send one of the new guys on a route that takes him, let's say, Milwaukee and then back to our terminal, and then Chicago and then back to our terminal. Whereas I get just to Green Bay. And I had the audacity to point out, hey, wouldn't it make more sense for me to do the Green Bay and the Milwaukee? Because then, like, the miles would be more even. No, that wouldn't make sense, I guess. But, or where I was consistently running for the past 12 months, all the new guys complained when they go there because, well, they just have us sit there and we just wait for the trailer to be loaded. I said, I'm happy to go there. It gives me time to work on, you know, not saying YouTube, but YouTube or audiobook recordings or, you know, things of that nature. Even if it's play a game or bring a telescope and just look at the stars. I was fine with it. I enjoyed it, and it was 400 miles. But no, they didn't want to send me to that place that none of the new guys wanted to go. That had to go to the guys that didn't want to go, and I had to take the short runs. So Anyway, that was the 3 things that really bugged me. And it was just that. But then, just yesterday, after we've done layoffs to try to make things better, maybe? Now they've decided, hey, we're going to close this terminal. The new terminal is 45 minutes further away from your house. Can I mark you down as a yes, you'll be there? Or should I mark that as a yes, definitely you'll be there? And, you know, maybe it was unprofessional. But I laughed in their face. I said, absolutely not. They said, well, why? And I didn't want to go through all of this. So I just said, that's much too far for me. I'm not gonna drive an hour and 15 minutes to be bottom of the list. That's, nah. That ain't me. So, do I have something lined up? Nope. But I have a couple prospects. But I also have, allegedly, 60 days to figure it out. We'll see if it lasts that long. From what I'm hearing, most of the people they asked are not planning on moving to the new location. Which maybe they anticipated that. That's it's a possibility. But the 2 guys, what do we call them? Donnie and Andy. Donnie, Andy, and myself are the only 3, at least original to the company, employees on line haul. None of us are going. So it's all going to be just these new company's employees. At least on line haul. Office may be different. Dock may be different. City may be different. But I don't know. I just think it's, I don't know if ironic is the right word, but yeah, it's poetic, not in a justice sort of way, but sort of a tragedy sort of way, in the Shakespearean sense. And like, the hardest part about this for me is, before we bought this second company, I have friends that are at other companies and they're looking to switch or to move on. And every single time I would say, this place is terrific. I absolutely love it. I love working here. I love going to work. That may be a bit strong. I don't love going to work. But compared to other companies I've worked for, I don't mind going to work. Which I think is kind of a big deal. Like, you'll work a job to pay the bills, and you may hate it, but I mean, you have bills to pay. So, what choice do you have? You have to go to work. Not this place. I loved this job. 100%. I was ready to just continue forever. And then we bought this second company, and very quickly you could just see all of it just collapsing, and just all of the good things that were in place just falling away. And it's really sad. But that's how it's going for me. So when I say, how's work going? To myself, I guess. And I say bad, this is what I mean. But hopefully one of these prospects will pan out. Otherwise that would be pretty embarrassing, huh? If I laughed in their face and then turned around and went, actually, my bad, can I have a job? Although, I was talking with one of the other guys, I might offer a counter proposal. And that would be like, hey, if you want to give me a company vehicle and or let me take a vehicle home, like one of the semis, and I get paid from when I leave my house till when I get back to my house. I mean, that would be the ideal. I'll do that all day long. But that, or, give me a company vehicle and a gas card, just so I'm not paying for fuel the whole way. Yeah, I think I would go for that. I think they would save some money rather than hiring a new person, but also I don't think I'm a big enough deal to warrant that. But who knows? I'll offer it, and it'll quickly get rejected. We'll be exactly where we are now. As I love to say, what's the worst they can say? No. Alright, so then it doesn't hurt to ask. Because I don't think they're going to fire me for asking. And even if they did, I'm already looking for a new job. I'm no worse for the wear. So, if I end up switching, when I end up switching, there might be a little bit of a lapse between episodes. Just, I assume I'll have to go through training and orientation at whatever new company, and I imagine the trainer won't like me having a camera set up. Again, I don't think it hurts anything. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but it seems like maybe that's not the idealist choice. So I'll probably keep it put away until then, until I'm on my own again. And I'll double check whatever company's rules, etc. and so forth. But maybe I'll put out some of those videos that I recorded but just haven't bothered to synchronize and upload. Until then, though, until whatever happens, I will continue doing my best. Wish you guys a fantastic day. And if you like this, like, subscribe, comment with any topics, questions, comments, anything. I'll be sure to read it. And if you have a question, I'll answer it on here. You know, as long as it's within reason. But yeah. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, night, whatever your situation may be, and be safe.